Hello and welcome to the ninth episode of Teen Talk Show. Am I visible? 1 second. Just a second. Give me a second, please. All right. Can you guys see me? I think I just, yeah, if you can see me, just say yes on the chat so that I know that everything is fine with. All right. Okay, fine. I think it's good to start. So, welcome to the ninth episode of Teen Talk Show, which will talk show series hosted by Teen Media. Very good evening to all of you. Very excited to see you online. Sorry for the hiccups. All right, so basically, it's really appreciate that you took time to be a part of this show. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Whoever has joined, a very warm welcome. So we have more people joining in. I think let's wait for a bit more time. People are joining in so that we have we can start our show. So we have been talking about reset, restart, and recover tourism in our past episodes with various leaders from the tourism industry. All we know that the tourism is actually slowly picking up, started recovering now. We can see theme parks have opened up. The MICE activities have also started happening. Hotels have also started operating as well. So domestic movement is picking up pretty well in many parts of the country as well as the region. So today we have a very interesting topic, and we will be discussing about food tourism, discover Malaysia by taste. I'm very excited and happy to see there are two experts from the industry to share a lot of interesting insights and information on gastronomy and food tourism. Before that, ladies and gentlemen, those who are new to Teen Media, we are Malaysia's homegrown travel trade media focusing on hospitality and tourism. We believe that it's very important to bring the industry under a common digital platform to share knowledge, ideas, and give the businesses the digital exposure so that easy for them to adopt and be innovative and be relevant in today's time. My name is Prashant Chandra. You can call me PC, and I'll be your host. I'm very excited to be hosting this session today. So Teen Media has come up with a series of virtual live talk shows in the previous weeks with the intention to educate and help the tourism industry players about importance of adopting digitalization in the business, whether it's for product or destinations or service providers, by having industry leaders from various sectors to share their experience and advices in front of a live audience like you. We'd like to especially thank you, everyone who's participated and giving us feedback on various topics. And we have, we choose to discuss on all those feedbacks which we received. We got those sessions, and from the past sessions, we select subjects based on your feedback you guys shared with us. And those who are watching this show regularly knows that we want the viewers to talk to us by sharing your thoughts and views and suggestions at the comment section, and do write all your questions to our esteemed panel. This is how we all can learn and share each other knowledge from, you can learn from each other. Yeah. So please feel free to tell us your opinion about today's subject, and do write on your comment section below. So ladies and gentlemen, before that, I have a special request to all of you. Please share this live feed on your Facebook wall, Twitter, on LinkedIn, on your WhatsApp group, so that more people can join us live. And keep your questions coming. If you don't get your answers during the show, don't worry. We will be interacting with you on our Facebook page after the show as well. So without any further delay, let me introduce you to our guest tonight. Let me give you a brief introduction about them, and then we'll move on to the discussion. First guest we have is Mr. Eric Wolf. industry founder and executive director, World Food Travel Association, all the way from United Kingdom. Eric is the founder of Food Travel Trade Industry and the executive director of the World Food Travel Association, the world's leading authority on food and beverage tourism. So he's the publisher of Have Folk Will Travel, author of Culinary Tourism, The Hidden Harvest, and is also a highly sought speaker around the world on gastronomy tourism. He has been featured in the New York Times, Newsweek, and Forbes, and on CNN, Sky TV, and BBC, and the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and many other leading media outlets. The second guest we have, it's a very in-house name in Malaysian tourism industry, Professor Dr. Muhammad Salahuddin Muhammad Zahari, Dean of Faculty of Hotels and Tourism Management, UITM. I'm sure all of you know him if you are from a Malaysian tourism industry. Before joining the university, Professor Salahuddin have gained more than 10 years experience working in various hotels and food services organizations locally and internationally. He holds a PhD degree in hospitality management and a master's international hospitality management and a bachelor's in food service management, associate occupational science degree in culinary arts, and diploma in chef training. Wow. So it's really a great privilege to have you, Professor, on our show. So, all right. So for those who just logged in, a very warm welcome. I have a request to all of you, if you're watching, please type which city you're watching from, so that we know that you guys are watching from which place. Right. So let me. All right. So basically, let me get into the discussion, and I'll start with Eric. All right, Eric, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your professional journey so far in the World Food Travel Association?
Sure, I'd be happy to, PC. I founded the World Food Travel Association back in 2003, and it's an organization that has grown today to serve nearly 200,000 people each year in over 150 countries around the world. And really, we've grown to a position of leadership authority in the industry, and it's quite a nice place to be. We feel very fortunate. I founded the industry when I was working for a technology company based in San Francisco, and this was around the time of the dot-com explosion in 2001, and I suspected a layoff. So I requested a transfer to the company's Portland office, and Portland is an area that's got a fantastic food culture. They said, yes, you can transfer, and then 3 months later, I got laid off. And during that time, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and career, maybe get some inspiration. So I did some self-discovery exercises, and everything I liked, everything I knew about, everything I had connections in was in food and travel. And so I saw that there was a connection there. I wrote a white paper on food tourism, and then 2 years later, it became the association.
All right. Thank you so much for that information. I think there's a delay on the voice and the video, but anyway, Prof. Saleh, I would like to ask you, tell us a bit about yourself and the institution. How significant is to have in-depth knowledge in tourism for career advancement?
Okay. Thank you, PC, and also Mr. Eric, and as well as the participant. I've seen that participant is around the world right now. Thank you guys for joining us, and very good evening. Because in Malaysia, in the evening, I don't know, your place will be 12 o'clock, whatever things, right? Whatever things. My name is Salahuddin. Can call me Saleh. I'm a Dean of Faculty of Tourism and Hotel Management. My education background is from traveling for Europe. I had also study in UK, US, New Zealand, as well as Australia. And We are Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management, UITM, is the pioneering faculty in the country. And right now we have around 7,000 students across the state in Malaysia. And we have four programs: tourism management, hotel management, food service management, culinary arts, as well as gastronomy, ranging from the diploma into postgraduate and PhD. Uh, we are quite fortunate because this year we've been ranked 31st in the world by the subject ranking, by QS ranking. And my passion is research and writing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the information.
Okay,
We
for
are
the
very
second question, is that you say that it's significant to have a knowledge. Okay,
right,
to
right.
me and to everyone else, I think knowledge is one of the crucial component, right, to acquire competency as well as the psychomotor skill. And as a tourism is a huge industry where the opportunity is practically endless. Therefore, knowledge on the industry to me is crucially important. Okay, in the olden days, some people said formal education not really important to be in this industry, to the industry, like that. But that's not the case now. All right. To meet the challenge of the industry nowadays, is essential for the individual to have the educated, well educated, and highly diversified in their skill. And because modern personnel in tourism industry, we need to have a knowledgeable about the world of science and the transportation, accommodation, food, entertainment, as well as to me recreational activities. Thus, it is important for educational institution to know the essential knowledge area. Therefore, they can facilitate the student to execute expectation by the industry. So, of course, knowledge is utmost important in this industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor, for the sharing. We all agree that fact that yes, knowledge is actually very essential, especially in tourism industry. So, Eric, can I ask you, like, how do you see the COVID crisis impacting tourism, and what are the positive and the negative side from your point of view?
Well, it's no secret that the pandemic that has affected the entire world is probably the most significant event in terms of economic impact, even sociocultural impact in 100 years. It's absolutely, well, perhaps since World War II at least. It is just tremendous, the impact that it has had. If you look at countries around the world, the sectors that where jobs are lost first and foremost is hospitality and tourism, and then after that you get the restaurant people, and after that, so it's everyone's losing their jobs, and it's not a great time really for anything. But I think when this crisis first started, we published an article on my Medium channel, and it says it was basically about when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And the whole thing was, look, this is really a bad situation, but let's do the best thing that we can right now. And some of the advice that we were giving to the industry was to use this time to do things like redo your marketing collateral, redo your business plan, redo your website, have a hard look at your social media platforms and your social media messaging. Look at your technology systems, maybe your booking platforms, and see if you can make any improvements there. And so I, a lot of people have been already doing these things, and also some people have been looking at pivoting, which is a word that everyone's using right now, but basically changing the business that they're doing. So some food tour operators have been doing things like doing virtual tours online. They have been doing online classes. They have been doing sometimes food delivery. There's a man in Toronto, Canada, who changed his food tour company, and he's doing delivery of local foods from a local market to residents in the area. But I think if there is any silver lining, is that societies only progress when the status quo is challenged, and we have had our status quo challenged in an such a spectacular way. And it's great because things are changing around the world, and they needed to change. Everything about how we do business, how we work in the world, has is changing. I mean, look at the Black Lives Matter movement and the revolutions that are happening around the world. These are conversations that needed to happen. Another thing that I think that you could say is, and this was something that I heard from business professionals, and then they kind of brought me along to their way of thinking, is that there's sometimes in some markets there's an oversaturation of food tours or tourist guides, and what this crisis is doing is making people think twice if they really want to be in business and running their own business. And in many cases, it's not economically feasible for people to continue to stay in business. And so what these business experts were saying is, if we lose 10% of the businesses, that may not be a bad thing, that these people should find employment elsewhere, maybe in technology, maybe in customer support. There's other job opportunities that these people could explore. So maybe if someone has their heart set on running a food tour company and then there's no business and you have to do something else, well, do something else for a while and maybe come back to food tours later.
Thank you so much for that sharing, Eric. Can I ask, Prof? How do you see the situation of COVID crisis? And yeah, can you have your point of view, Prof?
Yeah, well, to me, COVID, like Mr. Eric said just now, this pandemic is significant impact on tourism industry and other industry, and in fact, all facets of life. Life is changing now, and in the context of tourism industry, it has been massive affected, okay, by the spread of the virus, right? As many countries introduced what we call a travel restriction and attempt content its spread, right? To me, on the negative side, of course, a lot of negative side compared to the positive side of it, right? Because we know, everybody know that the travel restriction really slum the demand and among the travelers and create economic downturn in almost all countries in the world. All right, okay, like UNTWO estimate that 20 to 30% in 2020, leading to the potential loss of the US around 30 to 50 billions of dollars of the tourist arrival in the world. And in fact, the many city planned travel went down almost 80 to 19%. Okay. In the context of Malaysia, we see that we have the campaign called Visit Malaysia Year 2020. And the campaign, 50% of the Malaysian tourists actually from Singapore as well as China. But due to the COVID, most of the booking has been cancelled, and we even stop the cancel the Visit Malaysia Year. And then the airline industry players has highlighted that the current travel ban and plummeting the demand around the world have to put a loss of making carrier even risk of bankruptcy. And on the Malaysian major airline, we have three major airlines: AirAsia, Malindo Air, as well as the Malaysian airline. About they have to cut a salary around 10 to 100%, unpaid leave depending on the range of position. And with regard to hotel industry, 170,000 84 hotel rooms booking from 11 January to 16 March 2020 has been cancelled. It is a loss about RM 68,000 or 68,190 ringgit. The loss is attributed to because of the COVID-19. This the COVID-19 really badly hit the industry all over the world and even in our country, in Malaysia as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the sharing, Prof. Can I ask Eric, how important is to take food tourism as a crucial segment to promote destinations?
Well, I think food
Yeah.
tourism really could and should be the most essential element of destination marketing. Food and drink are the foundation of both society and tourism. All local residents, as well as all visitors to a destination, eat and drink. 100% of people engage in eating and drinking. Not everyone is going to do water sports. Not everyone is going to go sightseeing, even. Not everyone is going to go shopping or to museums, but everyone eats and drinks. Therefore, I think focusing on the local culinary culture should be the foundation of a destination marketing strategy. And regardless of the level, whether it's the national level, the regional level, or the local level, the food and drink are the glue that holds society together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. Absolutely, we all agree to that. Um, can I have? Can I ask this to Prof? How is the food tourism segment here in Malaysia doing,
Malaysia.
and are we doing enough to develop food tourism segment? Yeah.
Well, I should say tourism sector segment in Malaysia is slightly higher than an infant stage. All right. Locally and domestically, it looks promising. It really looks promising with the increasing trend of eating out among the Malaysian as the middle disposable income. Sometimes people go out of eating for treating family and friends. However, internationally, although Malaysia is known as multiracial, multi-ethnic country, which has a lot of food potpourri. Food tourism in this country, rather in the stage of still, I may be crawling and also gradually climbing the ladder compared to our neighboring country, especially Singapore and Thailand. Okay, in other words, we're still struggling in promoting our Malaysian food, and Malaysian food is expected to provide. We need to create an identity and perhaps to reflect our culture of the nation. Okay, as I mentioned about that, well, our friend is Singaporean here. Singapore is having one of the street stall, best street stall in the globe by maintaining the cleanliness. Singapore even endorsed some of the common roots of food. Okay, they hate than us. They endorse some of the common root of food as their heritage food. Teh tarik, rojak Singapore, roti canai. Okay, we are sharing the same root: Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So they can call the teh tarik Singapore. We can call Malaysian teh tarik, things like that. Yeah, but they didn't hit in Thailand. When they talk about tom yum, we mentioned about tom yum. I think people will link that is the traditional or classical soup of Thailand. And then we go further. Okay, the linking of food and tourism is common among other countries. Hong Kong, we can see Hong Kong. I don't want to talk about UK. I don't want to talk about the Spain. I don't want to talk about New Zealand, things like that, and America as well. Okay, because Hong Kong, as a people travel, especially they travel for gastronomic reason. Possibly the popular food in Hong Kong, like a dim sum and Cantonese specialty. Next question is that, are we doing enough, Malaysia? Probably I'm not in the capacity to say enough or not, but looking at the overall scenario, we have not achieved our target, and thus we must continue working hard on it. We need to continuously improve our current promotion effort, and not to exaggerate that, we are focusing into the glorious heaven of the country, such as land of fascinating, islands life, adventurous, sauna, fauna, city excitement to international. However, we have to make known that our country also can offer an exciting tourism product, especially to the Western world. And the important food should be recognized by the local government, by the tourism producer, by the tourism services, destination management organization, as well as local authority, as well as researcher. Okay, I think that's my answer.
All right, thank you so much, Prof. I think it's a very valid question. That are we doing enough? That's I think everybody's mind. This question has whoever is a part of Malaysian tourism. I think all those who are watching, please give us your feedback on are we doing enough to promote food tourism, or what is your take on on this particular question? And can I ask Eric, what can be the best possible ways of promoting food tourism in a country like Malaysia? I'm sure you have such a huge experience in food tourism. I'm sure our viewers can take a lot of input from your side.
Well, this is a very difficult question. We could speak for hours, if not days and weeks, about this particular topic. Professor is laughing. He knows how complex it is. But I think if I had to give some very a list of advice, for example, one of the things I would put on that list is, like the professor said, you have a rich culinary culture, but you do not have a culinary brand. And that, I think, is the number one issue, that other destinations have a brand that people recognize. Look at Italy, for example. People could name all different kinds of foods that come from Italy, both dishes as well as specific food products like ricotta cheese or Parmesan cheese or Prosecco wine, or there's the whole list of things that that most people know come from Italy. But you ask people about specific Malaysian dishes or specific Malaysian ingredients, and I bet you that most people outside of Southeast Asia don't know about roti tisu, right? Or they don't know about kaya pao, or they don't know about pisang goreng or ais kakang. I hope I'm saying these right.
Okay.
But those, I know my accent's horrible, right? But
Okay, you
anyway,
got it.
but I do know a little bit about Malaysian food from by kind of by osmosis. So I lived in Singapore, and also when I was much younger, I worked in a Malaysian restaurant. But in doing research on Malaysian cuisine, I see that there are a lot of similarities with Singapore. There's a little bit of Indonesian influence. There's obviously some Indian and a little bit of Chinese as well. So you see, I get the picture, but I don't think most people could say what is Malaysian food all about. And I think people, why come to Malaysia? Well, the sun, the sand, right? Those are the two big reasons. But then what else? Because every other country in Southeast Asia has sun and sand as well. And you know what? They have outdoor recreation too. So why should we go to Malaysia instead of the Philippines or instead of Vietnam or instead of even Australia, right? So all of these countries are your competition. So the first thing is to build a strong national culinary brand that visitors from outside your region can identify with. I recently saw a promotional video that the Philippines Department of Tourism put together, and let's just say I think there's an opportunity to improve what they did. I know a little bit about Filipino food as well. And in fact, we interviewed a Filipino woman, a food manufacturer, on a recent podcast. And I know they have a rich food culture, but that wasn't really the food. The video was about gastronomy tourism in Philippines, and I was left with more questions than answers after watching the video. But anyway, maybe that was what they wanted. So after having a national culinary brand, then I think you need to organize your resources. And who are your resources? Well, we say it's the faces behind the places. So your people are your number one resource in the country. Obviously, your food, the dishes, the culinary culture, the history, the ingredients you use, your cooking techniques, your cooking utensils, the recipes from many years ago, all of these are part of what you put together. But it's the people that put the differences. So if I have nasi goreng in Indonesia or in Singapore or Malaysia, how is it different? Well, some people might say it's the same dish or mostly the same dish, but it's the people serving it that makes the difference. The language is different, the culture is different, the facial expressions are different, the humor is different, the environment is different, right? All of those things are different. And that's part of it. And so how do you organize those resources? Well, really what you need is something like a gastronomy tourism business association, like a local chapter of our association in Malaysia, to help the local industry to build itself up. So that would include part training, part working on marketing plans and social media positioning and engagement. There's a lot that goes into doing something like that. We're already talking with Vietnam about how to create a gastronomy tourism business association for them. So it's this kind of thing that I think you're addressing this question at exactly the right time. And now is the time to figure out how to put all of these resources together, because when the pandemic is over, people are going to be so eager and excited and happy to travel. And travel will return to normal. And then the same situation will emerge. And basically, how is Malaysia different? What is your unique selling proposition? Why should someone visit Malaysia instead of Thailand? You're right next to each other, right? What's the difference? I'm sitting there in New York, I'm sitting there in London, or I'm sitting there in Rio de Janeiro or Sydney. Malaysia, Thailand, I don't know. So it's the food that can push people over that finish line. And if people already know Thai food, because there's so many Thai restaurants around the world in every country, then Malaysian food represents something different, something unique, and something interesting. And that is what gets people to buy. People are always looking for new and different. And I think Malaysia as a country has an opportunity to to entice people who know nothing about your food to come and experience it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, rightly said, Eric. Thank you so much for that sharing. I think yes, we should be having more associations to be, engaged for food tourism. So, can I ask, Prof? When it comes to promoting food tourism in Malaysia, do you have, some of those ideas you want to give out to the tourism players?
Yeah. Okay. I want to answer based on my few studies on the gastronomic tourism. Okay. From our study, it's clearly shown that besides visiting, exploring, and experiencing various Malaysian tourism attraction, the local gastronomy product were also seen can contribute to tourist experiences. Okay, major Western tourists positively perceive that local gastronomic product, food, beverage, and the food culture as one of the attraction. And this perception, in fact, they was translated this perception to high level of consumption and experience. Therefore, the food operators, hotel, restaurant, hawker stall, and food court who operate their business in the frequent visited spot by the international tourists should promote more variety of the local ethnic food and beverage with a good quality. I agree with Eric. They said that presentation also is very important, a decent presentation. And the only problem with our food is that because too spicy, so we need to amend the food in terms of spicy and sweet in order to suit the taste of the international tourists.
Professor, it can never be too spicy.
Yeah, certain things are too oily
All right.
things like that. But we need to at least amend our food for the international, especially from the four season country because they can't stand with the heat of the food. And then The result of study also show that the local outlet of ethnic restaurant, food court, and street stall, they are the first choice and first choice of dining place among the Western tourists. Some backpackers, they don't want to go to hotel. They would like to go street to take a street food. So therefore, food outlet operators in the big city and the tourism spot, it should always maintain the quality of food served. Okay, provide an efficient service to me, and then concern with the cleanliness of the premises. This is not what I say. These I gather from the international tourists. We had around 350 respondents, and this will also, like I agree with Eric said that the Malaysian need to portray a good image in the eyes of Western tourists in terms of promoting the food and our food and beverage to the new tourists through the word of mouth. Then we can get a repeat vacation of it, right? I remember that one tourist from Netherlands. So when he's leaving to flying to back to Netherlands, I say, "What do you bring?" "I bring the food." He say, "Mangosteen." They say, I can see the mangosteen in my country." So he liked mangosteen. So therefore, travel agency and tour operators should play the important role, to me, should play the important role in promoting Malaysian gastronomy through the gastronomic packages. Okay, we have the mini Malaysia Park in Malacca. Padang Kota also in Penang is famous with the food. Okay, Pantai Chenang in Langkawi are the obvious example that I can say to promote the Malaysian food. We look into the Australian. Sorry, Eric, if you have to take a bit of time, things like that. Australian Intrepid Travel Agency, they brought the tourists, okay, into the indigenous cuisine, dining out, similar to Eric know better about it because he stay in UK. Okay, Clemente in Italy, also Juventus in the Spain. They brought a tourist into in a vineyard to taste the food while tasting a wine, things like that. We need to do that in Malaysia. So therefore, in effort to boost the Malaysian gastronomy product internationally, I think the responsible authority need to be creative in order to promote abroad to food ambassador. Okay, we have to increase the number of international gourmet festival, because sometimes, sorry to say, sometimes the policy change, right? We need to be consistent in terms of policy. Okay, in Malaysia, sometimes when the political scenario change, the policy change. We need to be consistent in terms of promoting our food. Otherwise, we will be left behind from our neighboring country like Thailand and Singapore. Okay, sooner or later, sooner or later, I'm worried Indonesian will overtake our position. Things like that. Thank
Right,
you.
rightly said, Prof. I think it's very, very valuable inputs. I think everyone should take note of this. As you know, I think these are like, we really need validation from someone like you. A lot of work to be done, and I'm sure that all of us will put together right efforts, the right direction, and things can definitely go better for food tourism in this country.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Eric,
yeah.
can I ask you, Eric? As every country will start, tourism, restarting tourism by going domestic, domestic sectors, promoting domestic tourism. So, what is your advice to those operators who like to venture into promoting food tourism experience? And yeah. So,
To
what is
domestic operators wanting to promote domestic food tourism in Malaysia?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really good question. I think that's hard for me to answer because I've only been to Malaysia twice, and both times were as a tourist and not really looking with the lens of the industry that I'm looking at right now. But I think one thing I could give you is a safe bet. And can you just answer me this? There are different regional foods throughout Malaysia. It's a very big country, right? Different regional foods.
Absolutely. I mean, every state has its own speciality. So that is,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, you can even take the context of UK for that matter. Like
Understood.
in a-
Okay,
yeah.
so what I would recommend then is for the regions to focus on their own specialties, right? And so maybe you live in the north of Malaysia, or maybe you live in KL and you've never been down to Langkawi. I mean, unlikely, but I'm sure there are some people, or maybe you've never been up to Penang. And I think that if all of these regions want to attract more domestic tourists, then focus on what you do best. Don't try to do the big international dishes, right? Don't try to do the Italian food or the Japanese food. Focus on what you do best. Show people that you make the best version of whatever this is. If there is a national dish that everyone in Malaysia knows, but show your local version of it, right? And I think it's by focusing on these local variations and the different recipes, and of course the different people as well, the different accents and the language and everything. I think that will help people to learn more about the country, and then your residents can become ambassadors for Malaysia when they travel abroad as well.
All right. Thank you for that sharing, Eric. I think it's rightly said. I think it's very important for the operators to understand various point of view, especially somebody like you who knows about food tourism that closely. So, can I ask Prof this question? Can gastronomy tourism be the driver to community tourism revival, especially in such a huge, at the time of a huge crisis?
Asking me, PC, you asking me, right? Hello?
Yes, Prof. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
you asking me about question. Can
All
you
right.
repeat the question again? Can you repeat the question? I just
Okay. So the question, yeah. So can gastronomy tourism be the driver to community tourism revival? Especially in such a crisis situation. Uh,
yeah. I said my answer is yes and no. Yes, if the various marketing strategy are being employed by the local authority, by the stakeholders, through the community and promoting the local food through the local festival, food demonstration, commercialization, and recipe and books, things like that. Organizing the traditional food festival is made which aim to promote and educate visitors with a variety of local food and food culture. For example, Penang Food Festival, that's successful. I want to quote one of the local community who participate actively in promoting the local food. There is a Empower Floating Market, a rural destination in Thailand. They receive a positive impact in economy, social, and culture aspect. Yeah, this is very important in order because we need to gather all the local community, local authority, stakeholders. You should work together to promote the what we call it tourism or food tourism. These can be the drivers. I will say no if no marketing strategy are being employed by the local authority as well as the stakeholders in promoting the local food with no tourism facility. I will give you the example to it. All right. No necessary action to solve the challenging in developing the food tourism marketing strategy. No a sense of place. All right. And heightened destination identity. So we need to heighten the identity of the place. Eric said, image is very important. So therefore, image must be uplifted first before we can proceed with the tourism. Okay. Number two is we sometimes unable to create a business opportunity and sell and locally produce. We can attract tourist demand for the food. Example, I'll give you example. That is my place in northern Apera, which is called. Have you heard of Lenggong Valley, which is UNESCO World Heritage Site? All right, this place has been pronounced as the UNESCO World Heritage Site, but then since 2012 until now, we receive like only 12,000 tourists, international tourists per year, and it keep decreasing because of the no commonality and collaboration between local authority and then the stakeholders and also state government at a very slow improvement made. So therefore, we need to do that. Otherwise, whatever, I think Lenggong Valley is a very nice book. I'm from that side. I know pretty well that side, that area. So therefore, we need to do that. Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for that update, and it's very useful for us. There is one question I would like to take it from the viewer for Eric. Yeah, so the question goes to Eric, like, how about the non-adventurous tourist who only eat food that they used to eat back home? You know,
It's
that's a pretty
a
tricky
great
question.
question. Yeah, yeah. And thank you, Ishmael. I'm that's probably really a bad pronunciation.
Eric, his is my staff.
Okay.
My
All
Well,
colleague,
right.
my colleague, not staff, my colleague.
it's
All right.
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet him and you. And thank you for the question. Right. So this is actually a phenomenon where you do have, right, you have the food loving travelers and then you have travelers who eat, and so this is definitely a different focus. And for the travelers who eat, so maybe they're coming to Malaysia for a different reason. They're coming for the sun and the beaches. They're coming for a convention or a meeting, right? And the food was not the driving force. Then they may experience Malaysian food and it may be overwhelming to them. And I think the challenge is sometimes when someone's coming from a completely different culinary culture and they're thrust into a brand new culinary culture where there's different, everything is different. The visual, like the preparation of the food, maybe killing an animal right in front of you, or the smells that you're not used to, or the flavors. For example, oh, that looks great. Oh, but it's got fish sauce in it. Didn't expect that, right? So these things that can overwhelm people. And in a situation like this, I would recommend having a kind of a transition cuisine. And hear me out here. I am not suggesting at all to change the authentic Malaysian dishes at all. Please keep your cuisine, don't change it. But there needs to be something in between. And if there is a dish, like the professor was saying earlier, like he said, we need to make our food less spicy. Well, I would say no. I would say that keep your original food spicy because the locals like the spicy, but maybe as part of the transition cuisine, you have it less spicy, right? Or less oil, or you don't use fish sauce or as much fish sauce or something like that, or you reduce the amount of coconut milk you use. One thing, a trend that I do see happening all around the world is the special diets and the food allergies. So people, there's a huge rise in vegetarian and vegan. There's a huge rise in animal ethics. So people are concerned about the welfare of animals and how they're treated. But in this transition cuisine, what I envision is kind of a gateway into true Malaysian food. So maybe the people come and they're given a light version of your cuisine. maybe not the strongest flavors, maybe not the spiciest flavors, something that they can approach, so that they can get them used to it. And then they should also be taught at the same time that this actually isn't authentic. It's close, but it's not what the locals would be eating. And after people have a few dishes that of this transition cuisine, then the tour guide or the tour operator or the hotel can say, well, if you really are feeling adventurous and you really want to try what the locals are eating, there is a mamak just down the road, and you can go there, and this is what you should order and try it. And good luck with that. Let us know how you liked it.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting input from you, Eric. Can you also tell us a bit about let's say the food tourism's contribution in a tourism growth of a particular region, like from your perception, how do you see that, especially let's say for Asia?
Is this for me or for Professor?
Yeah, for Eric. Yeah, for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you talking about the economic impact?
Yeah. So for the economic impact of that particular region, how much food tourism can contribute from your previous engagements and studies? Yeah.
Sure. Well, we've done quite a bit of research in the world. We started our food tourism research back in 2007, and every 3 or 4 years, we've introduced another major study, and we have 3 major global studies that we've done. So I think we have a pretty good understanding of the economic impact. And what our research has shown is that it actually varies by region. In destinations that are quite expensive, so Japan, for example, or Scotland, travelers can spend approximately 40% of their travel budget on food. And more affordable destinations in countries like Italy or Costa Rica.
PC, I think he's having a problem with that, right?
Yeah, I think Eric is breaking. The voice is breaking. I think it's.
I think we have to. You need to contact him. They said that he mentioned in earlier of the session just now.
Yeah, he has a problem with the connection.
No time come.
I think he's not. Okay, I think probably you can start.
Okay, I will answer this
answering.
one because I'm talking about the context of Malaysia, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I must say that no one traveling by leaving their taste bud home. Okay, when people travel, beside food, beside others, to me, food is one of the important attributes in traveler's mind when traveling. What to eat would to be turned in that particular destination later on. In line with this notion, yeah, the question prop is dealing with you're dealing with statistical analysis, statistical data, your question just now. Based on the report, okay, overall I've seen the report, 30% of revenue are contributed by the proportion of tourist spending on food. Okay, in Malaysian context, from 2006 to 2010, accommodation and food and beverage is high in echelon, which is over 50% of international tourist expenditure. Okay, then if I can quote, as of 2018, yeah, for domestic tourists in Malaysia, food beverage expenditure is around 15.5%, while shopping is around 42%. Okay, and for inbound, food and beverage represent around 13.3% compared to accommodation 23. So, and then shopping, transportation, as well as using the travel agency. And overall, I should say that it's showing a promising trend on the food tourism in Malaysia. So we can see that Malaysian have the potential to promote the food tourism The only certain thing that we need to taking care of it. All right. Like I say just now, the food, not much oil in that. So people don't like oil so much. Okay. Like Eric said just now, the coconut milk. All right. Even though people argue that coconut milk is good, yeah, proven to be good, but then certain people said, yeah, it's a lot of fat things like that, too milky, things like that. But as a conclusion, I could say that there is a promising indication and promising trend toward food tourism in Malaysia. Okay,
Oh, thank you so much.
because
Yeah.
I would like to reiterate again that people travel, they can't leave their taste bud home, no matter what they have to eat. Thank you.
Rightly said, Prof. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, absolutely. I think people can't leave their taste but home. I think it's rightly said. Yes. Right, Eric. Can we come back to you on your previous discussion? We got disconnected. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can.
I have to apologize for our connection here in the UK. I'm not right in
Okay.
central London, and if you don't live in central London, then it's kind of shocking about the infrastructure here. So I'll just say that. But anyway, yeah,
Okay.
so economic impact, and I heard a little bit of what the professor was saying. On average, we tell destinations that 25% of a visitor's spending is on food and beverage, and it can be more expensive in more expensive places and less expensive places. So if you, and it sounded like your Malaysia is somewhere in that range of maybe 15 to 25%.
Yeah.
But if you want to increase that, then obviously you have to work on the product development, the marketing plans, and the strategy to get people to spend more of their travel money, their travel spending on food and drink. People will, especially when they find things to be affordable, they're willing to spend more. But people are also scared of things they don't know. So I might go to a mamak or a restaurant and see lots of things that maybe there's only one thing on the menu that I recognize. Or maybe I see someone eating something that looks good to me, but maybe I'm allergic to fish and I can't eat that. And so when people are scared, they go with what's safe. And that is why so many tourists will go to a McDonald's or a Starbucks because they know what to expect. And so it has to be approachable for them. So nothing is more threatening than to go to, say, a hawker center and to see everything in another language. And maybe there's just especially in a country like Korea, you can imagine, I've been to Korea a few times, and you go to a market, I can't read anything. I have no idea. I can see what a chili is, I can see what a cucumber is, but if I go to a Korean market, I see the prices, okay, 2001, but I don't know what I'm ordering. So I do think that there needs to be an effort to make visitors from anywhere, not just Americans, not just Europeans, but people from anywhere comfortable with what is on offer. And I think part of the success as well is making sure that enough people can speak English. And I'm saying English because it is the international language of tourism and business. Enough people speak English to be able to explain to people, well, actually, if you're a vegetarian, you should not eat that. Or if you are allergic to peanuts, do not eat this. Peanut allergy is a huge problem, right? And or eggs. People are allergic to eggs. They're allergic to dairy. Um, people, if they're scared because it doesn't work with their diet, they're going to go with what's safe. They might stay at the hotel and order a hamburger, right? Or order spaghetti or something that's not even Malaysian because they know what they're getting. And that would be a shame.
Right. I think rightly said. Yeah, I think we always face this problem of language when it comes to local food
Yeah.
outlets. In any country. I think that has to be considered when we actually opening up for international tourists. I think I'm sure this is a very valid point to be taken consider of. So can I ask, Prof? We are actually running short of time. It's already nine
Yeah.
o'clock, and then
Sure.
we'll have another two more questions. So
Okay.
Prof, what is the challenges you've seen in food tourism segment in
Yeah.
Malaysia, let's say?
Well, there's a lot of challenges faced by food tourism in
Okay.
Malaysia. Okay. Number one, I think we need to create a Malaysian food identity. Okay, comprises of major and a minority ethnic food like Malays, Chinese, Indian, Iban, Kadazan, things like that, to endorse as a Malaysian food heritage. Yeah, because Muslim predominantly a population in Malaysia, so therefore we can adjust those who really the non-halal one into the halal part of it, right? And uh, we need also to heighten the promotion strategy, like I say, from all levels, right? The community, the local authority, state, and in fact, into the national level. Without that, we can't achieve our target. Okay, so a lot of you can see in Sarawak. I think a question from the they said, what about Sarawak? Sarawak is a lot of ethnic food. Okay, they cook a chicken in the bamboo shoot, things like that, wrapping with the leaves, things like that. The aroma is very good. That one can be promoted. Okay, and then number three, preserving the local distinctive value by the tourists in the face of globalization pressure, like Eric said. Okay, we need to be clean in terms of our food. Otherwise, they will go to McDonald's. Definitely. I term as a total tourism experience. If the international tourists visit Malaysia, but they don't try our Malaysian food, we can't reach what we term as the total tourist experience. Okay, we need to do that. The next one is that, for example, creating Malaysian signature dishes. That's very important in terms of attracting people. When people talking about Malaysian food, tourists will know that probably satay. They will say satay, things like that. Roti canai, yong tau fu, some of the Indian food, Tose. But although Tose is originally from India, but then we can say this is a Malaysian Tose, things like that. Because we need to combine all the major ethnic which represent Malaysian food. Now I can say roti canai no longer belongs to the Indian. Teh tarik no longer belongs to the Malay. Okay, Yong Tau Fu no longer belongs to the Chinese, although it's originated from Chinese, but then it become a Malaysian later on. Okay, that's very important. And the last one, we need to heighten the food hygiene, cleanliness of the premises. Okay, meeting different food by and meeting different food needs by consumer with the quality of services provided. That is utmost important. And if we can overcome this challenge, sooner or later, I think Malaysia can be a destination for food tourism in this
Thank you
region.
so much for yeah, thank you so much, Prof. I think it's very valuable inputs, and we are very lucky to have all this point of view for the industry partners, because everyone has a role to play in this entire food tourism industry. Can I ask Eric on what do you see, like what is your predictions for 2020 2021 for food tourism in general?
Well, like for tourism in general, 2020 is pretty much a write-off. We don't see a lot of travel happening in 2020. We do see a little bit of international travel, just the smallest amount. We see some domestic travel, but most companies, including airlines, are really making their plans for 2021. And I think that that is probably the most prudent course of action. no one really knows when this pandemic will be over. No one has a crystal ball. We don't know if a vaccine will be found or if any of the vaccines they're working on will work, or maybe they'll have tremendous side effects. Maybe we'll all turn into zombies after a month after taking the vaccine. That would, you know, no one knows, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I think I've seen that movie. um, but yeah, so I would say to plan ahead for 2021, but like any smart business owner, you should diversify your product portfolio. So if something is going to happen that causes this to go longer than 2021, then what else can you do? So think always have a plan B and a plan C as well. There's more that you can do. Maybe this is a great time to improve your skills, get better at sales, get better at marketing, learn how to build your own website, right? These are things that you can be focusing on right now while you're planning, and then it will still take time for tourism to pick up. So it's not like turning on a faucet of water and January 1, 2021, okay, tourism's back to normal. No, it's going to take a while to ramp
Wow.
up and get the numbers back. So you will need to have a plan B in place while travel is normalizing again.
Yeah, true.
Thank you, Eric, for those inputs. I think yes, it will take a while, but everyone hopes that it takes quicker than we expect to, get things back on track.
Fingers crossed.
So yeah, right. Yes, man. All right. So, Prof, can I ask you, this question on your predictions, about
Yeah, yeah.
2020?
I can cut short because you said short of time. I said within the 5 months into a crisis, right? The situation continue and to evolve, and the outlooks remain uncertain. Okay, no one no one knows quickly, like Eric said, quickly tourism or business travel will recover. Whether we still still fly as much, and what a travel experience will look like, we don't know. We can't predict. One thing is certain is that until then, there will be many more cancel of vacation, business trip, weekend getaway, and family reunion. Recovery is now expected to start later, but be slower than the previous foreseen. Okay, that's what I can say is that with this scenario, I sincerely think that the period of 2020 and 2021 tourism industry in general is still in eclipse. Okay, due to the pandemic, like Eric said just now, it won't change. Click like that change. No, it needs
Overnight.
more time.
It's not going to
Yeah,
change
it will
overnight. Yeah.
change overnight. Yeah. Okay, it's still in the
All right.
eclipse. Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for your input. All right, Eric, can I ask you, like, what are the collaborative opportunities you have for the tourism players in your association? And tell us a bit about your association, and if somebody wants to become a member.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to share that. We have two different platforms. We have our GastroTerra platform, and I'll type the message here, and maybe you can share it with people. So that is a person-to-person platform. So that is a place to share ideas, meet people, share knowledge, to participate in polls and surveys, to hear about events in the industry, and that's free. And that's if that's the kind of thing where you want to just know more people and to learn a little bit, that would be the best platform for you to participate in. We also just introduced the World Food Travel Market platform, and this is a business to business platform. So it's helping businesses connect with each other, and we're specifically focused on food tour operators, well, culinary tour operators, culinary tourist guides, and culinary travel sellers, and all of the businesses that work with them. So that could be attractions and hotels, transportation as well. But that's a business to business, where the other one is personal to personal. So either of those two might be an opportunity for people. And if anyone would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can look for, just put in Eric Wolf, World Food Travel Association, and I can point you in the right direction. I would be very happy to know more people in Malaysia. And Professor, I tried to find you on LinkedIn. I couldn't, so I hope that you could send me an invitation, because I would love to connect with you there as well.
Definitely, Eric. Definitely, I will call you on virtual. We will invite you. Definitely. All right. Nice
Thank you.
meeting you, and I will.
I'm very excited about the opportunities for Malaysia. I know that you have a rich culinary culture, and I know it's a beautiful country, and I know the
Then
people are
then
wonderful.
you have to come again. We'll
I want
invite
to
you.
come again. You know, I've never been to Penang. I've not been to Penang yet.
You should. You should.
I know. Big food city, right?
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And Ipoh as
All
well.
right. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so
On my
much,
part,
Eric.
uh,
Yeah. Yes,
I'm
Prof. Yeah.
talking about the PC. I'm talking about the collaborative opportunity uh, pertaining as an institution, right? As institution. Okay, before the pandemic and during this turmoil period, as institution that we closely are closely related tourism and hospitality industry, we always engaging ourselves with the industry players. We need to do that. We have to see the collaboration with the industry at the utmost and crucially important in exposing our students with the industry. And this situation, we have to look into the win-win situation. The virtual platform by inviting industry players to talk about the industry through webinar, one of the options undertaken by my faculties during the movement control order and as well during the recovery process. Okay, the collaboration and the cooperation between industry and industry players, the government related authorities, and as well as the any NGOs bodies and other stakeholders, therefore crucial and should be further strengthened to us. Okay, to me, let me quote this one: failure to develop commonalities of approach may lead. This statement, I made a statement. Why should the government funding continue to be allocated, okay, to meet and express need to train the managers if the institution industry fail to develop collaboration to nurture the potential of industry player? And educators can do nothing, all right, to produce graduate who will be motivated if the industry itself does not do any parts of it, and vice versa. Okay, industry and institution need to address the issue, or it will continue. The industry will continue to receive an incompetent graduate in industry. My conclusion is that our faculty and our policy in University Technology Mara, we need to have, or we targeted around 600 collaboration with any of the industry player or any of the organization, okay, in order
Right.
to internationally recognize our faculty, like Eric said just now. This is very important. I'm
All right.
fortunate. I'm very glad that to get you to know you all tonight.
Absolutely. I
Okay,
think
thank
thank you
you.
so much, Professor. I think we this is a beginning of a new collaboration, and we would look forward to bring more better opportunity for students as well as
Yeah, yeah,
people in the industry. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking your time out and enlighten our audience with your knowledge and your sharing. So we will see you back soon. And thank you so much for once again for joining the show, Professor and also Eric.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. So okay. So guys, I hope we have an amazing session with our guest on the topic today, and then their views and knowledge has been extremely helpful to us. There's a saying that the most purest form of love is the love for food, and because the food connects people from their hearts, and then we should tap more into the potential of food in tourism marketing. And this is the first time, I mean, probably like everyone is looking forward for more innovative opportunities of promoting tourism, and food tourism is somehow need to be prioritized as a key tool in promoting tourism in Malaysia as well as in our region. And we all know that when you book a 3 nights package, generally we consume 10 to 12 meals. As Professor said, about 30% of the cost of the tour goes to the food and beverage. So I think the food tourism offers such a wide range of experience. For example, food trails and food tours, or culinary walks, cooking shows, and so many things which we can explore further to promote Malaysia as a most sought destination in the world. So food is packaged together with cultural activities, and also it is like a storytelling basically. So we have state-wise tourism experiences. If you talk about Malaysia, we have so much to offer in variety. In every state, it has its own signature dishes and which needs to be highlighted. So if we could get them together to promote among each other, it is going to be a huge variety of gastronomical experiences in our country. So same goes to the region. So I believe today's session was informative to all of you. Upcoming sessions, we will cover more segments from the industry, like MICE associations or convention bureaus, tourism departments, and online travel agents and technology providers. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for daily dose of travel news and industry updates, or if you need help in marketing your tourism products online, please like and share this page. Do let us know how we can help you out in getting things better for you. So thank you so much for joining today's show, and we will see you on our next episode. Till then, thank you and goodbye.